everyone. Happy evening, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whichever time zone that you are joining us from. I am so thrilled to be back and be live with you all. It's been a while, but here we are. I'm not going to talk too much about me because I've got a wonderful guest here with me tonight, Scott Colby, who I will introduce in just a second. So I'm going to let you all know that we have got access to the chat. So please drop in the chat where you're joining us from. We love to see you in there. And tonight we are talking about grief from a cat dad's perspective. So you've heard me talk about Pickle before, and if we've got time today, I may share a bit about that towards the end. But tonight I wanted to get the perspective from somebody else, and particularly a cat dad. So let me introduce you to Scott. He's a compassionate health coach and dynamic public speaker who inspires audiences to cultivate gratitude, connection, and well-being in their personal and professional life. He's also the creator of Golden Whiskers, a newsletter and podcast dedicated to helping cat owners, or guardians as we call them, focus on love, longevity, and legacy for their senior cats. Welcome, Scott. It's lovely to have you here.
Hello, Julianne. Thank you for inviting me. It is so great to be here.
So before we get started, you've got to show everyone your jumper.
Oh, yes, my jumper. Okay, my hoodie, as we call it in the U.S.
Yes.
When you said that, I'm like, what's my jumper? So my hoodie, so it says Cat Dad here.
Love it.
And then on the one side is the names of my two cats that have passed away, Nomar and Mia. And on the other side, my two current cats, Nico and Milo.
Absolutely brilliant. He showed me that before we went live, everyone, and I tell you, I am so jealous. I've got sparkles on my jumper. That is nothing compared to his.
Pretty awesome Christmas gift I got from my friend Lori.
It's beautiful. Shout out to Lori. Absolutely best gift ever.
It is.
Okay, so hello, David. Hello, Sarah. Hi, Linda. Thank you all for being here. So we're talking tonight about your two cats, Mia and Nomar, because they're the two that are now in spirit form, no longer with you. And I wonder if you could just give us a bit of an overview as to how they came to be with you, your relationship with them, before we get into the kind of heavier stuff with the grief.
Yeah, sure. So I adopted them in July of 2003. So way long ago, when I lived in Dallas, Texas, and I was going to a shopping mall with my sister who was visiting. We were going to buy some clothes. I noticed the SPCA was there doing kitten adoptions. I'd never owned a pet before. And I said, hey, let's look at the kittens. And I ended up coming home with no new clothes, but with two kittens. And so I named them Nomar and Mia after athletes. So Nomar Garciparra was a professional baseball player, and Mia Hamm, a professional soccer player, who are married in real life. And then somebody who lives by themselves like I do and never been married. They were my companions, just my family, my kids, whatever you want to call it. They were just my life. And they weren't from the same litter. So they were about 2 weeks apart. I adopted them. They were, roughly 12 and 14 weeks old, but they were from the same foster home.
Mm-hmm.
So they did know each other. They were young kittens when I got them. And they just became my life, like they are for a lot of pet owners.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I know we're going to go into the grief, but Nomar, he ended up passing away in 2019, and Mia passed away in 2023.
So not that long ago. Like when we talk about grief, a couple of years isn't. I mean, not that the longer it has happened, the easier it is in any way, shape, or form. But I didn't realize it was quite so soon, just 2 years ago. Wow. Thank you for sharing about how they came to you. I must admit, when I read your blog and you said that you went home with two cats and no clothes, I'm glad you did say here, no new clothes, just to clarify.
Had to clarify that. Yes. No new clothes.
So how old were they when they both passed? How long had you had them for?
Yep. Nomar was 16 and Mia was 20.
Oh,
she was 20. Her birthday was April 10th, and then she passed away June 23rd of the same year. So she was just, made it 20 in a couple of months after that. Interestingly, they both passed away on the 23rd of not the same month or the same year, but the same date, the 23rd. So thought that was interesting for those numerologists out there, and they both passed away on a Friday.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that. Wow. 20. Oh my gosh. Like, that's a long time to
Very
be
long.
connected with a being, to have, you know, a relationship. Like, here at Naturally Cats, you know, people know that they're not pets, they are family, and in some ways more than, you know, friends, companions, confidants, you know, the place that we go to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel seen. How was it, like, after 20 years to have to say goodbye?
It was hard. You
Mm.
know, so when Nomar passed, that was my first ever pet loss.
Mhm.
But I still had Mia, at least. That was the one saving grace. Nomar passed away about 10 days before I was making a big move from Colorado to Tennessee. Thought I was moving with 2 cats, and I ended up only moving with 1. But Mia, and of course, the grief was extremely difficult with Nomar, but I had Mia there for comfort, for love, to, you know, still care for, take, and just, I think she was grieving as well for a time, and I feel like we were there for each other. When I said goodbye to her, it was extremely difficult. She had had a number of illnesses over her last, you know, really her last 3 years or so. She had kidney disease. She had some mobility issues, arthritis. She had, at the very end, she had lymphoma, and that's actually what she passed away from. And so, you know, we had a lot of vet visits, and Julianne, for like the last 6 months of her life, she had enough mobility issues where she couldn't really even go up and down the portable stairs that I had bought her. So,
Oh.
as someone who kind of always shared my bed with her, she couldn't get up and down the bed anymore. So I took the sofa cushions and put them on the floor, and we slept on the floor the last 6 months of her life. Just, that's how much I loved and cared for her. And again, I was living by myself. So when she passed away, to be honest, I was very scared to go home to an empty apartment. I'm like, I haven't had an empty apartment in 20 years,
Right.
and I'm frightened for my mental health, for my, you know, sadness, and is that going to have a grip over me, my grief? And so actually, Lori, who made this for me, I stayed on her sofa for 3.5 months,
Wow.
as just because I wanted to be connected to somebody, you know, and she has a cat as well. And so that was part of what helped me process my grief, was not sitting at home alone, just always kind of being with somebody else. So that was a big part of it. I also work from home. So as you can imagine, I spent a lot of time with Mia and Nomar when he was alive, just because I have a career where I can work from home. So I was home with both of them quite a bit. So really just scared to come back to a completely empty, silent apartment where, you know, I would felt like I was going to be thinking about her 24/7, and felt like that was going to affect my performance at work and my eating, my health, and all of that. So I made the decision to crash on Lori's sofa for 3.5 months till I felt ready to come back to my apartment finally.
Thank you for sharing that. And we will talk about Nomar. The reason that I wanted to speak about Mia first is because, one, you had her for so long, and because I knew that that would be a bigger shift because she was the second one to go. Laurie Christine, is that the Laurie we've just been talking about that's just popped in the comments?
No, that's somebody else.
I was going to say that's cracking divine timing right there.
Right.
Did you find, so thank you for sharing everything that you did and for your complete honesty. I know people will appreciate it when they watch this, either here with us live or on the replay. How did you know that, this is going to sound like a silly question, but just bear with me. Like, how did you know that you couldn't cope being in the apartment? Like, how did you know? Because like now you can sit here and cognizantly say to me, I knew it would, I wouldn't eat, I looked after myself, it might impact my job. But from my experience, when you're in it, you don't necessarily have that kind of self-awareness. So how did you know that you needed to do something different and to stay with your friend?
Yeah. Great question. I feel like one way that I realize that is because I am fairly self-aware. I'm very into personal development, mental health. It's part of what I do for my work, my business. So I am aware when I feel lonely, and I'm aware when I feel sad and depressed, no matter, even with cats.
Anything? Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just knew that, and you kind of anticipate it, that, gosh, this is how am I ever going to get through this when I lose Mia? So I had those kind of reflective thoughts prior. And then probably knowing what I know from Nomar's passing, because that was very, very hard as well. The difference there was I had just moved to a brand new city and new apartment. But I still had Mia, like I said. But I think I'm a fairly self-aware person because I do so much personal development. I read this sort of topic, and I know myself. I know when I'm lonely. I know when I'm feeling down and sad. And Mia's passing, I knew was going to take that to the 100th time, 1,000th level, infinite level worse than what I sometimes currently go through.
Yeah.
So I feel like that helped me. It's not like she passed, like I wasn't saying, hey, when Mia passes away, I'm going to crash on somebody's sofa. I didn't say that going into it. It was just something that I realized I needed after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And let's talk a little bit about Nomar. So because you, like I said, you had two. Were they the first two cats that you'd ever had, like as a grown up?
Yes. Oh, yes. I did not have any pets growing up. I had never, the only time I lived with any animals is just out of graduate school. I had roommates and they had two dogs. But otherwise, and I did have one girlfriend who had a cat at some point. But otherwise, I'd never had any pets on my own. So this was the first for me. Yeah.
That's what I thought. So just like checking in that they were, like a big shift into responsibility, accountability, like you said, being aware of how we're feeling, what they need, that kind of thing. And it becomes all consuming, doesn't it? In a great way. Like I know there's people here in the community that are with us. Some of them are from the My Solid Guardian community, that our cats are everything. And particularly when they get older or they get infirmed, like you said about sleeping with the cushions, I swallowed because I'm like, I did something similar with Pickle. You make all the changes in the home to accommodate them as best you can. And they become everything, don't they? So tell us a little bit about your gorgeous boy, Nomar, and can you tell us a bit about his passing? What happened with him?
Yeah, completely different. Nomar didn't have anything diagnosed. I took him and Mia to the vet about, a couple weeks before I was moving, just to make sure, saying, hey, I'm moving cross country. They're 16 years old. I just want to get them checked out to make sure they're healthy enough to make that long trip. And we didn't do blood work. We just did like surface level exam, physical exam.
Yep.
And at that point, they didn't say anything was wrong with Nomar.
Okay.
Mia needed a tooth pulled. She was having an abscess tooth. Nomar had a tooth pulled a year prior to that, but Mia needed to get a tooth pulled. So they said, Nomar's fine. We're going to schedule. Mia's fine. She just needs to get this tooth pulled, and then we'll do that before you move. So that was on a Friday. The next Monday, they called me and said, well, Mia's got early stage kidney disease. So that was brand new. And we don't, with her age, we don't really want to put her under anesthesia right now to get her tooth pulled. So it's like, we'll just work on managing the pain.
Okay.
And I said, okay. So that was on a Monday. Then on a Wednesday, so just 2 days later, Nomar started acting a little bit funny, like he would spend longer periods under the bed, and noticing that, okay, that's not normal. He was still eating.
Normal.
He was still eating fairly okay. That was on a Wednesday. Thought maybe he was just getting a little bit nervous about a move. I don't know. Well, the next day, Thursday, he's spending pretty much all day under bed and not eating well, to the point where on overnight, Thursday, probably knowing what I know now and how vigilant I am with cat health, I would have taken him to the vet right then on that Thursday.
Yeah.
But we tried to sleep, and he would come up to me as normal for a few minutes, but then went back down to the ground under bed or just laying on the ground. When I woke up Friday morning, this was just a week after his exam, I was like, oh my gosh, he's just laying there. He's not very, I mean, he hasn't passed away, but he was very slow moving, listless, not doing well. And in my head, I thought, oh my gosh, is this it? Bad timing. My car was in the mechanic. So I had to call an Uber. So I got my sister on the call because on the phone, she had dealt with a cat loss before. Right. Trying to get her opinion. We're trying to see what's open. This was about 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. My vet opens at 8. So after finally getting done figuring out what to do with my sister, it was about time for my vet to open, and they were only 5 minutes away. So I called an Uber. Other bad timing, my vet was on vacation.
Oh my gosh.
The vet that had just examined him the previous Friday. So we went in, he had to see a new vet that we had never seen before. Fortunately, the vet tech was the same, but it was very difficult. I still feel guilty because I'm not sure. You have in the back of your mind, did you make the right decision? Because through conversations with the vet tech, getting my sister on the phone, my friend Lori came to just kind of be there with me because she knew Nomar and Mia intimately. We made the difficult decision that it was time. We still didn't really know what was the cause of this, but he wasn't getting any better. He wasn't doing well. And so for me, not that it was like sudden, like hit by a car sudden, but to me it was very sudden.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to be leaving the vet without a cat.
No.
So that's how his came about. And again, it was about 10 days before I was moving from Colorado to Tennessee. So that was very difficult. My first pet loss.
And did it really did it hit you? I know you're aware of it because you literally left the vets, like you said, without him. But were you, particularly with the move coming up in just over a week, were you able to really process what had happened? I agree with you. It is very sudden. Like it wasn't like a, about one and done, but it still was incredibly quick. Were you able to process it?
I think so. I had a lot going on in that time with that big move. In fact, the next day we had already scheduled like a going away party for myself with some of my friends. And we decided to have it because just connection. I need connection when I suffer loss, basically, I guess is the bottom line. I need to be around people and have that connection. It probably hit me more after I got to Tennessee. And now I'm in a brand new apartment and I'm all alone or with Mia, but not knowing people here. And I think, just you have more time to think about it. COVID came around 6 months later. I guess I don't know if it's a saving grace, but I left the apartment I left Nomar's last apartment, so I didn't go through the like, oh, that's where Nomar slept, and that's where Nomar and I hung out because I moved.
Yeah, everything was different.
Then do you have some guilt? Like, did I make the right decision? Well, shoot, I left Nomar back in Colorado, and here me and I are different state, and kind of that sort of thing I worked through. One great thing about Knoxville, where I live, is where the University of Tennessee is, and they have a great vet, like a vet social work department, and so they offer 6 free grief counseling sessions for pet loss for anybody that lives in Tennessee. So I took advantage of some grief counseling, both when Nomar passed away and Mia.
That was one of my questions, actually. Did you, how have you helped? I know you said you're self-aware, and I think when we're emotionally self-aware, there is so much that we can do, journaling, working through it, reflecting, ceremonies, whatever it may be. But so would you mind talking a bit about that? How did it help you or not? How was that counseling for you?
Yeah, I think grief counseling helped me just by being able to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
Being able to express my feelings that I feel guilty, I miss him, I love him, I don't know how to move forward. Just having somebody there to listen. I think even, talking to you about it, talking to your audience, I think is helpful because I love Nomar and Mia, and I feel like that they're always going to be with me. They've helped guide me in some of my decisions on projects I'm working now, as you know. And then I think the other big thing I did was journal. I started, especially for Nomar, I think because Nomar had an extreme amount of guilt. With Mia, I kind of knew it was kind of a slow process. With Nomar, it was quicker. With Mia, I knew the vet even said it was the exact time with Mia because of all of her health issues, but we didn't hang on too long, so it was very helpful. With Nomar, still had questions, still had guilt. So I started to write letters to him in a journal. It was very therapeutic, I guess, just to do something like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to clap as in to cheer you, but that is something that I think is incredibly powerful. That is one of the, funny enough, the lessons in my Become a Souled Cat Guardian program is about connecting with the cats, the ones that came before, the ones that we hold the guilt for. And I'm really glad that you brought that up because I don't think that is something that's talked about enough when we talk about pet bereavement. We talk about how you can honor them. We talk about how you can, deal with your emotions. But one of the heaviest and most dense emotions is the guilt. Like you said, did I do the right thing? Was it the right time? And sometimes for me, there was shame as well, like should I have done it sooner, should I have noticed this, the shouldas, and so I'm not glad that you experienced that, but I'm glad that you're able to talk about it and share that was part of your experience and that you decided to find a way forward from it. So thank you. I'm really conscious of
oh my gosh, hello there we go. This is Milo.
Hello, gorgeous boy. Hi. So we're aware of the time. Thank you for the time check, Milo. So unfortunately, we've only got Scott for just 2 more minutes because he's got somewhere else to be. But I did say that we might have him back. So before we wrap up, thank you so much for sharing your experience, for speaking up about journaling and writing letters, getting grief counseling, having support from friends, the mixture of emotions that you've experienced with the 2 different passings of Mia and Nomar. Could you just share how people can connect with you if they'd like to, and that special project that you mentioned, if you could just share about that?
Absolutely. If you would like to connect with me, probably the 2 best places are email. So just smcolby@gmail.com. And then you can also check me out on Facebook. You could just look up Scott Colby and you should be able to see me. I'm holding 2 cats in my profile picture there. And then, I'm working on a virtual feline wellness summit. So Julianne is actually part of it. I'm interviewing 21 amazing professionals in the cat wellness community on all walks of life. We're talking about nutrition, preventative, senior, behavior, mental health, all that good stuff. So it's coming out soon, and it's just, again, one of the things that I feel like I'm called to do. I want to learn more about how to keep my new cats well, things that maybe I didn't know with Nomar and Mia, and to share that information with as many people who will watch and listen to these interviews as possible. So thanks for asking, and thanks for being a part of that.
Oh, my pleasure. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm excited to see some of the speakers and to watch their content. So just to say, everybody, make sure you follow Scott on Facebook, because the information about the summit will be coming out. He's also going to be launching, if it's not fully done already, a newsletter, Golden Whiskers, I think it's called.
Yes.
Golden Whiskers.
Yep, that's all on senior feline wellness.
Yes, so he's got a lot of cat content, and it's been an honor to connect with you. So thank you very much for being here tonight. I'm sure we'd love to have you back, and I will liaise with you about that another time. So I'm going to stay on and share a bit of my experience with people about Pickle. So thank you so much, Scott, for being here, and I will speak to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Julianne. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Okay. I just wanted to come into the comments and connect with you all. So thank you very much for being here. And I know it was a short time that we had to connect with Scott, but unfortunately we're trying to arrange, international calendars, and that's the best option that we had. So let me just come to Linda first of all. You shared about your cat's passing, and I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to everybody that's come into the comments. Thank you to Laurie. And I know this is a really tough topic, and when we see somebody else going through grief and we hear about their experience, it can give us comfort, and it can also be upsetting and unsettling. And I hope that if anything has come up for you from watching this session, either live or on the replay, that has unearthed emotions in you, or anything that's kind of brought up, a mixture of things, please get in touch and get support, either with Scott or with myself, info@naturallycats.co.uk. Reach out and share it with someone, because it would be a real shame for you to experience emotions from this session and then push them back down. Okay. Oh, no worries, David. I will share your thanks with him. When our emotions come up, it is really important for us to deal with them. Like Scott said, I love the fact that he was so open and honest about journaling, having counseling, dealing with his emotions, being emotionally aware, because the more we are able to process our emotions and support our mental and emotional health, the bigger impact it has on our cats. When Pickle passed away, I was an absolute mess. I actually went and took 3 days away from my home, from my ex-husband, because I didn't know how to function. And I wanted to talk a bit about that with Scott tonight, but unfortunately we ran out of time, about how, when our cats pass away, pass back into spirit form, it completely changes us. And yes, there is the stages of grief, and yes, there is a whole range of emotions that come with it. But also what happens is that our identity changes. We're not the cat mum or the cat dad that we were. I would come home every few hours because Pickle had to have insulin, and we'd need to check her weeing and pooing. She was my everything. And, for example, one of the things that I learned or had to relearn since she's gone, and not just with my boys, but for myself, is that I want to only spend a short amount of time with people. I only want to be out of my house for a short amount of time. And it was great because she was an excuse for me to be able to do that. But now I'm able to speak up and say, I'd love to come and meet you for a coffee. I've got an hour, or I've got an hour and a half, because I like to be at home. I like my space. I like to manage my energy. The reason that I share that is because our emotional state, our cats can feel it. When you walk into a room and people are having an argument, you can sense and feel it. When you meet up with your best friend or a family member and they just seem a little bit off, you can feel it. Our cats can feel it from us, no matter how much we try. Trust me, no matter how much we try to hide it, bury it, ignore it, not access it, they can still feel it. So if anything's come up for you tonight, please share it with someone. Allow it to come out. If it comes from your heart, allow it to come out, express it, share it with someone. The more emotions that you can move, the more energy you will move. And in some way, it may not feel like it initially, but it will bring you more peace. It's not going to make everything okay. I'm reading it in the comments. about cats that have gone and how they've happened. You know, Linda, the daughter's cat, who was still with you. Where was Laurie said, Nathan died suddenly last Wednesday. Oh my goodness, like I can't imagine how hard and difficult that's been. Never been sick. Of course, there's no words. There are no words. There are no words that explain how we feel at times. And therefore, being with someone or even just sitting with that pain is the best that you could do. And when it comes to grief, give yourself the chance to process it, the chance to feel it all. Anything that you shut away, block off, bury down will come back later, and it will be even more painful. You know, I sit here and speak from experience. My gorgeous girl, I look up, she's on my wall. It was 6 months after she'd passed away that we got Leo, and I really wasn't ready. My ex-husband said he wanted a cat because the house felt empty, and I should have trusted my instincts and said no, but Leo was meant to come to me. For the first 12 months of having him, I was still processing my grief and pickle. And here I sit 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 6.5 years later, and there are still times when I feel into the grief. So know this, my loves, grief is not linear. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. Sometimes you might just even need to take it minute by minute, literally 10 minutes at a time, an hour at a time, a day at a time. You need to do whatever you need to do to honor how you feel. Okay. So thank you all for joining me. Let me just see if there's anything else. Anything else I can support you with? Sarah, beautiful Peps and Lulu transition within 3 months of each other. Peps is 23. Wow. Been declining for a while. Lulu was 16, but we all thought she had years left. Oh, my love, I'm thinking of you. That's the thing. See, whether they go suddenly or whether they're poorly and, you know, you kind of know it's coming, doesn't make it any easier. It's just a different type of grief. You know, there is shock with the quickness, and yet there is drawn out pain with the long-standing illness. There is anticipatory grief, you know, when you know that things are kind of changing. And amongst all of that is such a range of emotions. And that is where I encourage you to connect with yourself, to allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling. Angry, hurt, fed up, frustrated, guilt, shame, anything and everything, loss, sadness, pain. It's a real blessing to be a human and to be able to have a range of emotions. And yes, I know there are times when we wish we didn't feel quite as much, or there are times we wish we didn't have as many emotions, but we're humans. So the best thing that you can do for yourself and your cats, if you've still got any, they're still with you, or you get new ones, or whatever your situation looks like, is to allow yourself to feel. The bottom line is, my love, it's okay to feel what you feel, whatever that may be, whenever that may be. So look, I'm going to go because I think I could probably chat about this subject for another half an hour. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you being in the comments, and it shows me that I'm not talking to a blank screen. And thank you all for sharing your experience. Thank you for sharing your losses. Thank you for sharing how you've connected with this situation. I hope that you've enjoyed the short amount of time that we had for Scott. I promise you I will get him back. The Wellness Summit is coming soon. Scott is sending emails out to all of his speakers in the next couple of days. So as soon as I've got links for signups and stuff like that, I will share it with you all. So watch this space. It will be on my social media and it will be on Scott's on Facebook. And just before I go, if you are dealing with or have blocked off a lot of emotions from the cat that was before, and you want to deal with it, consider coming to join us for the Become a Soul-Led Cat Guardian program. It's a 4-module course. The first 2 modules are about you. The second 2 modules are about your cat, and they can be in spirit or in physical form. It's about helping you to connect deeper with yourself so that you can connect with your cat, allowing you to come out of your head and the shoulds and come into your heart to feel that beautiful range of emotions, to find it, as we say, find it, feel it, and release it so that you can have and enjoy that soul-to-soul connection with your cat. So if you're interested in the Soul-Led Guardian program, full details are on my website, naturallycats.co.uk. Thank you for joining me. It's been a real honor to be here with you all. I am so thrilled to be back. The live sessions will be every month. So I've got February's lined up, March is lined up. I'm just waiting for the next speaker to confirm April or May. So watch this space. I'm back with a vengeance, and you will see much more of me online live in 2025. Sarah says as an ending comment, it's an awesome program. I completely agree. Thank you for sharing, my love. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, afternoons, or mornings, whichever time zone you're in. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.